Thank you very much, Dr. Badr Al-Badr, the CEO of the Misk Foundation. Really, really interesting. Now, I have an astronaut with me here and another very clever man, two people who are really pushing the boundaries and going into the unknown. And I'm very much looking forward to speaking to you both about what it feels like to travel into the unknown and any tips you have for taking your community into the unknown with you. So I'd love you to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yep. Thank you, and thank you all for being here today. And I'd like to also thank Misk for setting up this beautiful event. I'm Yossuf Banawi. I'm the co-founder and managing partner of a company called Red Coast Industries. It's a boutique private equity group that's focused on buyouts in the lower middle market space, with a specific focus on what some would call outdated industries. So, it's at the microcosm of the theme that we're talking about today. Previously, I started a medical technology company in the United States that's focused on addressing a very complex problem called the opioid crisis. Long story short, a lot of people got addicted to pain medications in the US over the last decade. And I'll go into it in a bit, but this is a result of a transformation that occurred through industries in the US that left a lot of people jobless and in pain. So I think this is a very relevant topic, and I'm excited to dig into it today.
Sara, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the organizers for pulling off such an incredible event. So my name is Sara Sabry. I am Egyptian. I am the first Arab woman to have ever gone to space. And thank you. Thank you. I have a background in mechanical engineering and biomedical engineering, and I'm currently doing my PhD in aerospace, where my research is focusing on designing the next generation of planetary spacesuits. I am also the CEO and founder of Deep Space Initiative, which is a nonprofit company that is trying to make space more accessible by providing opportunities in research, education, and also we have a legal department that is trying to lobby some of the laws that exist that make it so inaccessible for people like us. So that's me, and after having gone to space, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that a little bit about what it's really like to experience that. I have been working on several other projects also related to healthcare and a few things to help benefit life on Earth.
Thank you. So, okay, Sara, I'm burning to ask, what is it like in space, and what propelled you? What made you want to go there?
So my interest in space really started from astrophysics. So I was really interested, after I finished my studies, I got really interested in trying to learn more about the origin of the universe. And then the more I learned about it, the less I understood, and the more I found out that there's still so much that we need to be doing to be able to understand that better. And we're still very far away from being able to understand it. So I decided to just dedicate my life in this pursuit and to be able to understand it. And I'm sure, as many of you here are engineers, when you find a problem, you get obsessed over it, and that's what makes us engineers, right? And that's how I tackled space. Every time I found a problem in the space field, I kind of went about it in this way, in that if there's a problem, there must be a solution. If the laws of physics don't tell you it's impossible, then it is possible. And that's how I've been living my life, and that's why I created Deep Space Initiative, where it was trying to address a problem that I myself was having at the beginning of my journey, where I found out that for someone like me, or for a lot of us, in this part of the world, we're not able to access the same resources. We're not able to do the same type of research that, people in the West are able to do because of the laws that exist. They might have made sense back in the day because, of the Cold War that was going on and everything, but they don't make sense anymore. Spacesuits are not, a weapon. Spacesuits are an incredible design piece of technology that should be more open access. It should, we need more people from different backgrounds to be working on problems that do exist. Otherwise, we're never going to solve them. So that's how it started. So my journey to space.
And what was it like when you got there? Just tell us a little bit. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. What did you see?
It was, have you heard of the term overview effect?
Kind of.
Okay, so
Yes.
I'll briefly explain it. So the overview effect is what happens, it's this cognitive shift in perception that happens to astronauts when they see Earth from space. Because if you think about it, we haven't biologically evolved to experience this. Our brains are not prepared to see Earth from space. It's not something that we're able to look at, in 3D and make sense of in your brain. So when you do see it, it changes things. And as an engineer, I'm very skeptical about everything, and I was skeptical of how much it was really going to influence me. Like, I understood that it was going to do something, it was going to change something, but it was a lot more profound and powerful than I thought it would be. Seeing Earth from space was just incredible. It was very, very beautiful, very bright. Earth is very bright, and it's a lot smaller than it is in our heads. And I think before going to space, I used to look up at the sky, and I think when I first got my news that I was sitting in my car looking at the sky and thinking, whoa, I'm going to be launching on a rocket and going up so high, because you look at the sky and it looks limitless. You don't see its borders. But now, after having gone, I look at the sky and it feels very different. It's not as big anymore. It's much smaller. And that kind of resonates and kind of creates this ripple effect into different things in your life. And for me also, because we launched during the day and, sitting on a rocket and then being launched into space, you see the change in colors. You go from light blue to darker blue to then black. And in my head, for some reason, I was thinking that when you leave Earth, you're going to be feeling it somehow, but you don't really. It's this just visual cue that you get that tells you that you're in space. So that also creates a different change. So for me, there is no real separation between Earth and space. There's just one. Earth is just a part of it. And I think we need to be changing the vocabulary that we're using when we talk about space and Earth, because there's a little bit of, it separates the two when we're talking about them, and we always think, oh yeah, like Earth is one thing, like we need to focus on the problems here, and then space is another thing, when it's just a part of it, and it really makes sense that we're trying to understand it better. We're trying to really discover our origins and discover like where the universe, and it's part of us. So this is just in a nutshell. I can talk about the overview effect all day. But
amazing. I want to ask Yossuf, we talked about there's a problem, let's find a solution. So that's something that you've really done here with Believe. Yep. Tell us a little bit about what is the problem, and why did you feel that you were able to provide a solution?
Yeah, and I think Sara said it quite well. When when you're an engineer, an entrepreneur in general, you have this problem and you become very attached to it. So, when I was in the U.S. Out of college, I was working at a rehab center in North Carolina, and again, talking about the theme of transformation. A state like North Carolina is very rural. A lot of people worked in industries that were transformed, but unfortunately in the wrong way. Coupled with the increase in pain medications that the U.S. experienced in the 2000s, a lot of people got addicted to their pain meds. And this is a very complex problem. It's not just one issue. So when I was working at this rehab center, I was exposed to it, and I became very attached to it because I think it's a problem that's very stigmatized, and not a lot of people wanted to solve it because anything related to stigma is always much harder. I think CEO Badr mentioned it. You have to address these biases, and so to me that attached me to that purpose. And I took a stab at it. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an astronaut, but I'm mission-driven. And I got attached to the problem. So I went and I recruited a very smart engineer out of college, and together we built this great company. And throughout that process, I was able to raise capital from Silicon Valley and Boston, even Saudi Arabia. And the one thing that I learned about this theme around transformation is what they taught us in Silicon Valley is this concept of move fast and break things.
Move fast and break
and
things.
break things, right? While I think that's
Really important.
good for the startup world, you need to pivot, you need to always learn, you need to grow. But at the same time, you can't forget that you, as a leader and a change maker, you're standing on the shoulders of giants. And I think Saudi Arabia is in this, in the same position today, where, we are known for our traditions and we have this great future ahead of us, but we also have to make sure that we are standing on the shoulder of giants. And I think that always grounded me. And I think it goes back to my roots in entrepreneurship. I was very lucky to be born into a family that always was passionate about entrepreneurship. My late grandfather never went to college. He barely graduated from high school, but he started a very successful company out of Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, which is my hometown. And I think when we think about transformation, we always have to keep in mind that the concept of move fast and break things works, but at the same time, I personally believe bridging gaps is more effective. And I definitely did that with my company. One interesting thing that goes to this point is when we were building this product, which I never told you about, it's basically a smart pill bottle that monitors how a patient uses their medication. So it's an IoT device. If the patient takes more than prescribed, we alert their physicians electronically. The one thing I learned very quickly is physicians are not really tech savvy. A lot of them are from a generation that is different than mine. They weren't really born into tech. And so in the beginning, with our first few prototypes, we were faxing data in. We were literally sending it by fax. Sometimes we'd even send it as a PDF attachment. But that's how they wanted it. And so it's slowly but surely they got accustomed to the platform, and then they got used to it. But I think transformation has to be progressive, and you can't force people to make that change.
Yeah, I mean, you've both pushed boundaries when other people might not have been so fast or quick to push them, and you're leading the way. If we talk about generation transformation, we're all here to learn about transformation. We all want to transform, but I know there may be some fear that comes with it. Now, when you're about to go in a rocket ship to space, you obviously felt some kind of fear. How do you manage fear? How do you deal with your own fear and still overcome it?
So for me, preparation really helps with everything. So when it came down to sitting on that rocket the day, after having visualized it so many times, you're not scared anymore. So you prepare yourself, you train yourself in different ways to be able to deal with this anxiety that may come, and to really prepare yourself that for when the day actually comes and you have to deal with the big stress that's going to come, you're calm, you're prepared, because of course, sitting on a rocket is not without risk. And a lot of things that we do in life is not without risk as well. And I think we need to be doing things, practice makes perfect. And as long as we're practicing, we're preparing ourselves to deal with stress in different ways. So then when the big stress comes, you're ready for it. And that's change. And there is always resistance to change. I've always been told that engineering would be too hard for me, so to not do mechatronics. I've been told that if I do biomedical engineering, I wouldn't have any opportunities in my country. And then I've been told that if my interest in space is just a waste of time because, well, what are you going to do with it, And also, that comes with a lot of different things, and expectations come with where we're from as Arabs, there's a lot of expectations that come with our culture and things like this that is, in the West, people might not be really aware of. So it's really different to be coming from this side of the world and having to do things that have not been done before, because you're always looked at, and the number of times that I have been asked in my life, why can't you be normal? I can really count a significant number, So I never really fit in. I never really tried to go with whatever everyone around me was doing. I really did what I believed in doing, and that takes courage, And it's not easy. It's not always easy, and that's what change is like. So to create change, you need to push outside of your comfort zone. You need to be able to do something significant you can't be comfortable. Being comfortable doesn't really, it kind of kills your motivation. It stops you from actually pushing forward. And listening to others, if it's negative, also, is not beneficial at all. If you really believe in that there is something that you think needs to be done, no matter what anyone tells you, of course, take in all the data. You need to make every single decision with all the data that you're getting, but not without listening to people telling you, oh no, it's never been done before, or this idea is too simple, someone else was going to work on it. No, you can do it, And I think for me, it's really important to always think that everything around us was an experiment done by another human being. If we always take that in our mindset, like everything in society, in culture, in everything, everything is an experiment around us. And if we have this mindset when we're trying to make change, it becomes a little bit easier, because you then think, oh no, but it's possible. Like someone else, has done this, and it might work, it might not, but you just take that step. You just jump into the unknown without fearing, other people's judgments or opinions. I think it's really important to trust your gut and your instinct.
I agree. Trusting your gut, but as you say, also just make an informed decision.
Yeah.
Don't act just on impulse. Look at the facts, look at the information, but then head down and just don't listen to anybody else. Would you agree with that? Is that kind of your strategy?
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, if you don't feel fear when you're trying to do something new, it's actually not a good sign, because you're not pushing yourself enough. I think, but at the same time, there's a feeling of, imposter syndrome is a feeling that I personally felt when I was first starting my first company, because healthcare is a very outdated industry. It's, especially in the US, it's led by, old white men. That's what the label was. And so, as an Arab, as a Saudi, a young Saudi out of college, trying to, change something that's so systematic, it's so entrenched, people will tell you no, people will discourage you. And I think for me, it's all about the mission. You have to ground yourself in something that's much bigger than yourself, be attached to a certain purpose that is far into the future, but keeps you motivated. But I think, it's a constant battle. I don't think there's really a solution for it, but I think you have to attach yourself to something that's bigger than you, and keep going. Again, people are going to discourage you, but if you believe in it, I think you'll end up finding a solution.
And you spoke a little bit about your parents. Have the generation who've come before you been supportive and understanding of these new boundaries you're pushing, or are they a little cynical?
So my mother's in the audience.
Great.
And I think my father is on the live stream. So there are certain things that I can't say, especially when it comes to discouragement. No, but I'm very lucky. Again, entrepreneurship is in our blood, so I've always felt pushed to get into that space. I think that most of the discouragement is actually going to come from people outside of your immediate realm. So I think it goes back to some of the ways that I've coped is, when I have a tough time at work, or when something's not working out at my company, I actually resort to my loved ones, my family, and they usually have, really good guidance. So I'm very lucky in that sense.
Sara, do you have grandparents? Are they alive still? Have they been totally blown away by your going to space? Do they understand it?
Unfortunately, no, I don't.
Okay.
They are not with us. But yeah, for my parents, let's say, going to space was a big shock. It was not something that they were ready for. It was not something that, for any parent, for parents here, imagine having your kid tell you that I'm going to space in 2 weeks. It's hard to handle. So I do understand their reaction, and I do understand the amount of stress that I put them through. It's not easy doing something that has not been done before, and especially for parents, they can't go and talk to their friends and relate to them and tell them, so what do you do? Like, what do you do when you're seeing your daughter on a rocket, So it's a lot to handle for them.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate the fact that they, stuck around and didn't, give up on me throughout this journey. And I do thank them for handling the amount of stress that I have put them through. But it's important, you know, as the other generations, and it's not like they, you know, they might not have understood what I was trying to do at the beginning, but then when they saw that it was actually working and it was really important, because I was trying to explain how important the space field was. And for them, because when you live on Earth, I mean, we all live on Earth, but when you're living your day-to-day life, you're kind of disconnected from the space field, and we're not really relating what technologies are coming from the space field or how it is really the future, you know? But something that my dad told me at the beginning, which I really appreciated, was that he told me, you're always looking 10 years ahead. So for him, he's a businessman as well, he's an entrepreneur, so he's always thinking way ahead of, like he's always thinking 5 steps, you know, forward, just to be able to be prepared for anything that comes and to be, you know, ready for how the world is evolving. And for them, space was very far away. For everyone in Egypt and the Arab world, I mean, it was just very, very far away. And I think having their daughter go just brought it very, very close to home. And then my mom kept researched so much about rockets. She was sending me things about the Challenger, about Columbia, and about, you know, all of the different, rockets that have gone. And then she was really, really scared, of course, because the more research you do, the more, you know, you find different things that you don't want to find out about.
We've got 1 minute left.
Yeah.
It's just, no, continue. I think we have to remember it's scary for those around us when we're trying to do something new, as well as being scary for ourselves. Give me one phrase of advice, both of you, for someone new out there with a big idea who's just starting their journey.
Yeah, I think for me, going back to that purpose that kept me going, really find something that is very mission-driven, that you can latch onto for years, because it's going to take a very long time for you to create what you want to create. Always add a margin of 5 to 10 years. So find something that you're very, very passionate about, and be better than the person sitting next to you.
Sara, what would you say?
Just when you find a problem in front of you, don't wait for someone else to solve it, or don't wait for the opportunity to come to you. It's not really going to come knocking at your door. So maybe build the door yourself and create it yourself, and don't be afraid to trust your own instinct. And we all battle with imposter syndrome. Even myself, I do battle with it every single day. So just understand that we're all the same, and we all go through the same things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you both. That was lovely. Thank you. I'm going to take a quick photo of everyone out there, and a quick photo of my guests, because we don't have any photos.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.